Okay, so get ready to dig in, folks, because today we're diving deep, no pun intended, into a handbook on basic agriculture.
Sounds practical.
Oh, it absolutely is, especially if you're, interested in where your food comes from.
Which should be all of us, really, when you think about it.
Exactly. So this handbook, it's specifically focused on Gujarat and Maharashtra, and it's packed with like really eye-opening stuff. Right off the bat, it hits you with this stat. Over half, over half of India's farmland it needs help.
Wow, that's a lot. That's significant.
Right. And that got me thinking like, okay, this isn't just some abstract problem.
Mhm.
This is directly connected to what we're all putting on our plates. And that's what I really appreciate about this handbook. It's not some dry academic thing. It's a farmer-to-farmer guide. Practical advice from people who are out there getting their hands dirty.
That's great. So who put this handbook together?
So it's a collaboration between GIZ, DFV, and Manage, which are all about empowering those small-scale farmers, the backbone of the agricultural system.
I like that. And the fact that it's focused on Gujarat and Maharashtra, those are interesting regions to look at from an agricultural perspective.
Right, like they're kind of leading the way in a way, showing how these smaller farms can really thrive and plug into like the global market and all that. And you can tell it's written for farmers because the language is super clear, no jargon, just boom, actionable advice, which I am here for.
Music to my ears. So let's dive into the content. Where does this handbook start?
Well, it really breaks down the process of choosing what to grow, and it's way more strategic than I ever
And
imagined.
that it's not just about what grows well in your climate, right?
Exactly. It's about like really understanding your local conditions. The handbook even goes into like what your neighbors are growing, which I thought was so interesting.
Really? Why is that important?
Well, think about it. If everyone in your area is growing like tons of turmeric,
Yeah.
the market's going to be flooded, and you won't be able to sell yours for a decent price.
Supply and demand even at the local level.
Exactly. And you know what else? They don't shy away from climate change either. Like they address it head on.
Which is huge. Climate change is the biggest challenge facing agriculture today. So how does this handbook address that?
It's all about adaptation and resilience. So instead of putting all your eggs in one basket, they encourage diversification, growing a mix of crops so that if one fails because of like weird weather or pests, you're not, left high and dry.
It's like diversifying your investment portfolio, but for your farm. That's a great way to think about it.
Right. So picture this. Instead of rows and rows of the same crop, you've got like veggies mixed in with fruit trees, maybe even some beehives tucked away in a corner.
I love that visual. It's like a little slice of Eden.
Yeah.
And it's not just about looking pretty, right? That kind of diversity makes the whole farm stronger, more resilient to whatever Mother Nature throws its way.
You got it. And speaking of resilience, this handbook, it gets into like the nitty-gritty of soil and water.
The foundation of it all.
Right. And honestly, I thought I knew a bit about this stuff, but they make it so fascinating. Like, did you know there are different types of dirt?
I mean, I guess I always knew that, but I never really thought about it.
Right. But it matters.
Mm.
Different soils have different properties, and understanding those properties can make or break your farm.
That makes sense. You've got to work with what you've got,
Exactly. And then there's water conservation, which is like more crucial than ever.
especially with climate change messing with rainfall patterns and all that.
For sure. And they break down all these different irrigation methods, like, yeah, beyond just the basics.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, so you know how hospitals use IV drips to give patients fluids slowly and steadily?
Yeah, of course.
Well, drip irrigation is kind of like that, but for plants. It delivers water directly to the roots, drop by drop, so there's way less waste.
That's brilliant. So efficient. I'm guessing this handbook tells you how to set up a drip irrigation system and everything.
You bet. They give you the what and the how, which is what I love about it. It's all about giving farmers the tools they need to succeed, you know?
Okay, but here's the thing about farming that I think sometimes gets lost. It's not just about like sunshine and tractors. It's a business.
Absolutely.
Right.
And like any business, you need a solid plan to actually make a profit.
Exactly. And this handbook, it really gets into the nuts and bolts of that. Like there's this whole section on, get this, gross margin.
Okay, so gross margin, for those of us who don't speak fluent finance, is basically what you have left over after you subtract all your expenses from your income.
Right. So it's like how much money you're actually making from all your hard work.
Exactly. And the handbook makes it clear. Understanding your gross margin is key to making smart decisions about what to grow, how much to grow, all of that. Right, because at the end of the day, you got to, keep the lights on.
Exactly. And that can be tricky with farming, right? Because there are so many factors outside of your control: weather, pests, those market prices that are always bouncing around.
Oh, tell me about it. 1 minute kale is the hottest thing since sliced bread. The next minute, nobody wants it.
Right. And that's why the handbook stresses the importance of planning ahead, anticipating those ups and downs.
So, like, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Precisely, diversification is key. And the handbook provides this really cool tool, a financial calendar, to help farmers, kind of map out their year, anticipate income and expenses, all of that.
So it's like a budgeting tool, but specifically for farms.
Exactly. It helps you see the big picture and make sure you're prepared for whatever comes your way.
I like it.
Yeah.
And you know what else I really appreciate about this handbook? They don't just tell you what to do, they explain why it's important.
Oh, absolutely. Like they really get into the science behind it all, which I think is so important.
Right. Like they dedicate a whole section to soil health. And it's fascinating. Like I always knew soil was important, but they break it down to a whole other level.
It's like, what is soil? It's not just dirt. It's this living ecosystem, right?
Yeah. It's teeming with all these tiny organisms, bacteria, fungi, all sorts of stuff that most of us never even think about, but they're crucial.
Absolutely. They break down organic matter, release nutrients for the plants, all sorts of amazing stuff.
It's like this whole underground world that we depend on for our food.
Right. And what I think is so important about this handbook is that it highlights how unsustainable practices, like using tons of chemical fertilizers or tilling the soil too much, can really mess with that delicate balance.
Right. It's like you disrupt that ecosystem and suddenly your plants aren't as healthy. They're more vulnerable to pests and diseases.
Exactly. It's all connected. And the handbook provides all these practical strategies for building healthy soil, things like cover cropping, composting, no-till farming.
Okay, so cover cropping, composting, no-till farming. Tell me more about those.
So cover cropping is basically planting a crop specifically to protect and nourish the soil, not to harvest.
Interesting. So it's like giving your soil a cozy blanket for the winter.
Exactly. And then composting, that's like the ultimate recycling program, right? You're taking food scraps, yard waste, things like that, and turning them into this nutrient-rich gold for your garden.
I love composting. It's amazing how you can turn kitchen scraps into like black gold for your plants.
Right. And then there's no-till farming, which is a whole other approach to soil health.
Yeah, I've heard of that, but I'll be honest, I don't really know what it is.
So basically, instead of tilling or plowing the soil before planting, you leave the soil undisturbed, which helps preserve those beneficial organisms and prevent erosion.
So it's like letting the soil do its thing naturally.
Exactly. And the handbook does a great job of explaining the benefits of no-till farming and how to make it work for your farm.
And you know what else I love about this handbook? They're all about working with nature, not against it. Like they have a whole section on natural pest control.
Right. And it's not just about those cute little ladybugs, although they do play a role.
Oh yeah, ladybugs are awesome. But there's so much more to it than that, right?
Exactly. The handbook talks about attracting beneficial insects by planting companion plants.
Like plants that naturally repel pests.
Exactly. For example, marigolds are great for deterring nematodes, which can wreak havoc on your crops.
It's like Mother Nature's own pest control.
Exactly. And then there's crop rotation, which we talked about earlier.
Right, because if you plant the same thing in the same spot year after year, the pests are just going to move right in and set up shop.
Exactly. Rotating crops disrupts their life cycle and makes it much harder for them to get established.
It's like changing the locks on your doors, to keep those unwanted guests out.
I love that analogy. But of course, sometimes, even with all the natural defenses in the world, you need to call in the big guns.
Right, like if you have a major infestation or something.
Exactly. And in those cases, the handbook is very clear. Choose the least toxic option available and use it sparingly, following the instructions to a T.
Right, because we're talking about our food here. We don't want to be dousing everything in harsh chemicals.
Exactly. And it's not just about protecting ourselves, it's about protecting the environment, the beneficial insects, the whole ecosystem.
Okay, so we've talked about pests, but what about plant diseases? Those can be a real pain too.
Absolutely. And just like with pests, the handbook emphasizes prevention first.
So healthy soil, strong plants, all that good stuff.
Exactly. When your plants are healthy, they're much better equipped to fight off diseases on their own.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And what else can farmers do to prevent diseases?
Well, good sanitation practices are key. That means removing any diseased plants promptly, keeping your tools and equipment clean, things like that.
Right, because you don't want to be spreading those diseases around.
Exactly. And if a disease does take hold, the handbook provides guidance on identifying and treating it effectively.
Okay, but let's shift gears for a moment and talk about something that might not be as glamorous as, like, ladybugs and composting, but it's a major part of farming: weeds.
Yes, the uninvited guests that every gardener knows and loathes.
Right, like they just pop up out of nowhere and try to take over everything.
They're like those friends who invite themselves over and then eat all your snacks.
That's a perfect analogy. And this handbook, it really gets into the weeds, so to speak, about weeds. Like they have a whole section on the different types of weeds.
Because not all weeds are created equal. Right. You've got your annuals, your perennials, your invasive species. It's like a whole botanical rogues gallery.
It is.
Mm.
And they break down the best ways to manage each type, which I found super helpful.
Me too. Because, let's face it, weeding can be a real pain, so anything that makes that task a little easier is a win in my book.
For sure. And what I appreciate is that they're not dogmatic about it.
Yeah.
They're not like, you must only use this method or that method.
Right, because every farm is different, every weed problem is different.
Exactly. So they give you a range of strategies, from good old-fashioned hand weeding to mulching to, yes, even herbicides, but they emphasize using those responsibly as a last resort.
Absolutely. It's about finding what works for you and your farm.
Exactly. And you know what else I love about this handbook? They really emphasize the importance of planning and record keeping. Like they have this whole section on farm management that's pure gold.
It's like they're saying, look, if you want to be successful at this, you got to treat it like a business.
Exactly. And that means having a plan, tracking your expenses, analyzing your yields, all of that.
And the handbook provides all these great tools and templates to help farmers do just that.
Right. Like they have this thing called a cropping calendar, which is basically like a master schedule for your farm.
So you can stay organized and make sure everything gets done on time.
Exactly.
Mm.
And they even talk about things like optimizing your labor, choosing the right equipment, even marketing your produce effectively.
It's like a crash course in running a successful farm business.
Exactly. And that's what I think is so great about this handbook. It's not just about growing food. It's about building a sustainable, thriving agricultural system.
Absolutely. It's about empowering farmers with the knowledge and skills they need to succeed, both for themselves and for the communities they feed.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of practical stuff, but I want to take a step back for a moment and talk about something that's often overlooked when we think about agriculture: occupational health and safety.
Oh, that's so important. Farming is physically demanding work, and it comes with its own set of risks.
Exactly. And this handbook, to its credit, it doesn't shy away from that. It actually dedicates a whole section to keeping farmers safe and healthy.
Which is awesome.
All right.
Because a healthy farmer means a healthy farm, right?
Right. And they cover a wide range of topics,
Mm-hmm.
from proper pesticide handling to the importance of wearing safety gear when operating machinery.
And they even honest things like heat stress and exhaustion, which are serious concerns for farmers working long hours under the hot sun.
Right. It's easy to forget about those things when you're focused on getting the job done, but they're so important.
Absolutely. And the handbook emphasizes the importance of listening to your body, staying hydrated, taking breaks when you need them.
Because at the end of the day, your health is your most important asset.
Exactly. And that's something I think all of us, farmers and non-farmers alike, could stand to be reminded of.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, but there's one more thing I want to touch on before we wrap up, and that's the importance of community in farming.
Oh, absolutely. Farming can be a very isolating profession, but this handbook really emphasizes the value of connection and support.
Right. Like they talk about the importance of farmer groups, cooperatives, even just informal networks where farmers can share knowledge and experiences.
It's like having a built-in support system, people who understand the unique challenges of farming and can offer advice and encouragement.
Exactly. And they also talk about the role of mentorship, where experienced farmers can guide those who are just starting out.
It's like passing down the torch, sharing generations of wisdom and knowledge.
Exactly. And I think that's a beautiful thing. It's a reminder that farming isn't just about producing food. It's about building community, preserving traditions, and creating a more sustainable future for generations to come.
It really is. It's like they managed to distill all this complex information into something that anyone can pick up and understand, even if you've never, even seen a real-life cow outside of a petting zoo.
Right. And they don't sugarcoat the tough stuff either, like climate change, unpredictable weather, the global market, all those curveballs farmers have to deal with.
Exactly. They lay it all out there, but they also offer solutions, practical ways to adapt and thrive in the face of those challenges.
And here's where it gets really interesting for me. Like, they make this really clear connection between what's happening on the farm and the choices we're making as consumers.
Oh, absolutely. It's like they're saying, hey, this isn't just about farmers, this is about all of us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What we choose to put in our grocery baskets, it sends a message, you know? It supports certain practices over others.
Right. It's like voting with your dollars in a way.
Exactly. So that
Yeah.
next time we're at the store staring down a wall of tomatoes, we
Yeah.
might actually like pause and think, okay, where did these come from?
Right. Were they grown using practices that are good for the environment, good for the workers, good for me?
Hmm.
Or are they like the fast fashion of the food world?
Ooh, I like that. The fast fashion of the food world.
Right. Like cheap and readily available, but maybe not the most ethical or sustainable choice in the long run.
Okay, so this is where I think this handbook really shines.
Yeah.
Because it gives you like the knowledge to make those informed choices.
Absolutely. It's like they're handing you a magnifying glass and saying, go ahead, take a closer look at your food system.
Exactly. And, you know, one thing that really stuck with me was the whole concept of integrated pest management, or IPM, which they talk a lot about.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. And they explain it so well, how it's not about like wiping out every single bug in sight.
Right, because a farm, it's an ecosystem, right? You
Yep.
can't just go in there and disrupt that whole delicate balance.
Exactly. IPM is about working with nature, not against it.
Mhm.
So instead of those harsh chemical pesticides, which, let's be honest, nobody really wants on their food.
Or in their water supply.
Exactly. It's about using a combination of strategies that are more like in tune with nature.
Right, so things like attracting beneficial insects, those ladybugs we talked about earlier.
Exactly. Or using companion plants. Like, did you know that planting garlic near your tomatoes can help deter spider mites?
Get out. I did not know that.
It's true. It's like this whole secret world of plant communication that we're just starting to understand.
That is so cool. Okay, and what about crop rotation? They talk about that a lot too.
Right, because just like we need a varied diet to stay healthy, so do our plants.
That makes so much sense. So it's not just about keeping the pests guessing, it's about keeping the soil healthy too.
Exactly. It's about interrupting those disease cycles, replenishing the nutrients in the soil. It's a win-win all around.
I love it. Okay, so we've talked a lot about what farmers can do, but how can like the average person support all of this? What can we do?
Well, for starters, we can be more conscious consumers.
Right, like knowing where our food comes from, asking questions.
Exactly. And, supporting local farmers whenever possible. Farmers markets, CSAs, those are great ways to connect directly with the people who are growing your food.
And you're putting your money where your mouth is. Literally supporting the kind of agriculture you believe in.
Exactly. And, even if you don't have a green thumb, you can still grow something. Even a few herbs on a windowsill can make a difference.
It's true. And it's a great way to reconnect with where our food comes from.
Absolutely. And, at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is to just be curious, ask questions, do your research, stay informed.
Because knowledge is power. And the more we know about our food system, the better choices we can make.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, on that note, I think we've plowed through a whole lot of information today, pun intended. This deep dive has been incredibly eye-opening, and I have a feeling I'll be thinking about this handbook for a long time to come.
Me too. It's a real treasure trove of information.
It really is. So to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of sustainable agriculture. We hope you learned a thing or two, and most importantly, we hope you'll join us next time for more fascinating deep dives.